Hi, this is Eternal King here bringing you another LOR video today. So we do have one more new deck to go over. I've kind of been deck crafting fast and furious, and all of the decks have gone exceptionally well. I'm actually a little surprised. So again, our Scouts brew, we showed that off live, and while the exact ratioing of the deck did change when I landed on the final version, I wanted to be competitive. You would, like, based on that video, most of the hallmarks actually stayed the same. It was the three fleet feather trackers, the three butchers, the three hounds, the Duran sculptor, form up, Broadwing, war chefs. Yes, we kept war chefs. Gentleman's Duel, Misfortune, Vanguard Sergeant. So I did find that in the Scouts deck, it was better just to play the vanilla 3-3 into the Four Demacia. Island Navigator, Quinn, Genevieve, and then one Siren, so basically one boat for Misfortune, which I was fine with. So this is like perfect Scouts, right? Like there's nothing wrong with this Scouts deck and what it's trying to do. It just turns out to be essentially perfect, and it even beat out Temple. Like you talk about, like the two decks that I ever have any concerns about in the Eternal format in terms of perhaps presenting a challenge for me, and it is basically Eddie Matron and Temple. There's really nothing else. And again, it also has to be a very particular kind of Temple, typically a ping spam style of Temple that can react to things, basically, play pings for 0 mana. That is more or less the kind of Temple deck it has to be, not like combo Temple or anything else. It has to be ping spam Temple. But yeah, so this beat Temple. I was pretty happy with that. It was like Victor Temple, Pursuit of Perfection, not Pursuit, yeah, it was like Pursuit of Perfection, and then 10 mana in P and Z, which I like very rarely see. I don't know why people try to play this card, but Glorious Evolution. But anyway, yeah, it was like a Glorious Evolution Temple deck. And then obviously our Overwhelm, still very pretty, very much doing its job. Rear Guard, Saboteur, Omen Hawk, Ruthless Raider, Spear, Tusk Speaker, Snow Dog, Iron Ballista, Katarina, Whirling Death, Red Barb, Razor Mance, Apros and Hearthguard, Darius, and Battle Fury. So like both of those like 1 second brews were very successful, and then 5 minute brews, and then obviously the OG Jacks that we went through, it kind of started this trend of like seeing if I could build competitive decks in 5 minutes that could beat everybody else, and it just turned out that I could very consistently. And then we can go to the new deck that I built, which was Darkness. I hadn't seen not Darkness, sorry, Nightfall. I hadn't seen Nightfall in a while. So I wanted to build a version of Nightfall that I thought, again, because it is a standard archetype, like it's entirely standard legal currently, but I wanted it to be good enough for the Eternal format. And there's some things that you'll see that I include in the deck that are, might seem strange to you, but it is what like takes that standard archetype and makes it competitively viable in Eternal. So the first thing is Chaincaster. Chaincaster is a 0 mana Nightfall activator. So if you've never played much Nightfall before, it's actually exceptionally hard to, for example, have Diana coming down on curve with her Nightfall activation. Like it's just really hard to do that. It's really hard to have Stingy and Onlooker come down on curve with with the Nightfall activator. Now, there's other things about the deck we're going to talk about later, but same thing with Lunari Shadestalker and Crescent Guardian, and again, it's just like everything in the deck needs to be activated on curve, like activating Nocturne on curve. It is very hard to do with Nightfall, and that slows the deck down, and that makes it worse because if you're not activating Nightfall in your Nightfall deck, then it's not a Nightfall deck. So it just turns out that spending 0 mana to essentially create a nothing unit, but then also having a 2 mana spell that does nothing later is also a nice Nightfall activator in case you need it. And then obviously later on you can swing with the 3-2. Very good. Very good. But that's not the main thing that makes this playable. I always knew that Chaincaster was like important for Nightfall, but it needed more than that in terms of being eternal viable. So the next thing that's really important for this deck is Iron Conquest. So Iron Conquest often used in Hecarim to duplicate sharks. The idea is very similar here. Instead of duplicating sharks, we are duplicating Stygian onlookers, right? So Stygian onlooker gets played on curve on 1, so you can swing at the opponent's nexus with a 2-1. But then you play Iron Conquest and then you start duplicating Stygian onlooker. Now, of course, this wouldn't work if your opponent just pings the onlooker, but like that's not going to happen because we've already established that nobody knows how to snap react to plays anymore in LOR. So like they're not gonna pie toss, they're not gonna pokey the onlooker. So that just means that when you duplicate the onlooker, you get 2 5/1 fearsome units, and it turns out that 1 mana 5/1 fearsome units are kind of good. That's a very powerful line to run for like essentially 2 manas, 2 5/1s, or you want to say 10, fearsome damage coming at your face. That of course can be poked and can be pinged and can be killed, but that assumes that the opponent is on those cards because they're playing the game properly. And right now I'm assuming that they're not. That's my hard meta call. And then obviously Fading Memories to essentially do the exact same thing as Iron Conquest, while also being a Nightfall activator. So again, you will duplicate the Stygian Onlooker that you played on 1 mana. You can duplicate Shadestalkers if you want to push for elusive damage. You can duplicate Crescent Guardians, Doom Beasts, etc. Other cards, Sky Shadows. Since we're playing so aggressively on curve, if we play Sky Shadows, that'll just instantly refill our spell mana. So we basically get Pale Cascade back online, guaranteed, which is nice. That's kind of the main application, because most of this deck is not terribly spell focused. In fact, you could probably drop Sky Shadows, and that might be the one card that I'm not liking here. 6, 9, 12, 1, 1. Doom Beast, Moonlight, Twisted Tree Line, Nocturne, yeah. Let's see what else we got here in terms of like Nightfall. This is the thing, is like there's not like a ton of amazing Nightfall cards. So like the aggressive 3/1 stat line that refunds spell mana like isn't terrible, but I also don't have anything in the deck that I necessarily want to be using. Cloven Way is okay. This is like one of the newer Nightfall cards. Stun an enemy. If it's a follower, stun it again the next round start. It's a 4/3 overwhelm. So for 4 mana, and then we can use the Chaincaster or the Fading Memories to get the Cloven Way out. It's not terrible. Or then you have, of course, Cygnus. Cygnus is a 3/3. Nightfall, give an ally elusive this round. This card was heavily nerfed. Like it used to be that you could like Cygnus on 6 as it was like a 5/3, but I guess they made it less mana, so now it's just a 3/3. Interesting question if that's worth running. You know what? At 5 mana, I will run Cygnus, I think, and then you can literally just like. There's anything good other than Crescent Guardian to Cygnus. Like it's such an awkward card, so awkward. That's the problem with just in Nightfall in general. Is I just find the cards to be exceptionally awkward. Yeah, it's like Cloven Way is just better. It's better just to like stun something as a 4/3, and then the opponent can't like attack next turn. That's gotta be better than Cygnus, right? It has to be. Interesting question. I am thoroughly stumped here. Do I just run Moonlight Afflictions and then that's like 2 burst, they can't block this round? That might be better, honestly. Like 2 burst can't block this round is going to help with your Stygian Onlooker win con. So again, that might be the play. It's not a bad card. Because if your whole goal is like pushing fearsome damage with duplicate onlooker, then obviously Moonlit Afflictions could possibly help you there. More so than a lot of this other stuff. But then Cloven Way would also kind of do the exact same thing with creature mana. You just like stun the fearsome blocker. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Or you just like don't worry about this stuff at all, and you're just like hard vengeance. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to do a little more thinking on that, because now when I look at this deck, I just realize that like there's very little. While I like the 2 mana Nightfall card, it's actually my favorite. Specifically, yeah, I'm a very big fan of Sky Shadows. Like Sky Shadows is just like a vanilla card, is really really nice, in my opinion. But then if you're doing that, I guess you're just like Unspeakable Horror to have another way to capitalize on Sky Shadow. Because you're getting the free mana, and then you get the free ping also as a Nightfall activator. So like it might be this. That might be slightly stronger. But then you lose the Fading Memories. Yeah. Instead of Fading Memories kind of duplicating what you have, you can use Unspeakable Horror to essentially get you a random card off of Sky Shadow. But again, I already tested the last version and it felt strong, but like it was basically just being carried by like Iron Conquest, Stygian Onlooker, and like I knew that and Chained Caster, for on curve Diana and stuff like that. Like I knew that was good, definitively speaking. But then yeah, there was some other stuff here where I'm like I'm not quite as sure. But yeah, it feels decent, in my opinion. And then Twisted Tree Line is now, once I've seen 3+ Fearsome or Nightfall allies attack, destroy me, and summon a Vile Maw. That might be a little memey as well. Obviously this deck is full of Nightfall creatures, but even still, I think we'll just do the one. Probably the one Fading Memories, right? We're trying to be like somewhat competitive with this standard deck. But yeah, that felt pretty good last time. I'm gonna run it like this now, and let's just play it out. Play it out live and see how it goes. Obviously, in the past, this has gone well for us. Yeah, Sky Shadows is like super important for Nightfall, but it just turns out that you need to have like the reasons or the proper avenues to, channel your spell mana. Okay, straight up PNZ Noxus Burn aggro. We did include the ping, so if we have something like Sky Shadows, we don't have the attack on 3, which we would like to see here, so we could pull something dangerous. So let's try to like get a ping off of Sky Shadows here. No, we didn't get it. So Teemo on 1 will be bad. Other 1 mana card would be fine. Yeah, there's the Teemo on 1.
2, 3, 4.
I really had to think about that one. We will develop the Sky Shadows because, like, we need to be, essentially showing off some kind of decent damage.
No more hiding.
I'm just gonna offer the 2-1 trade here. Okay, he takes it. It's very possible I should attack with both. It's a hard call. Yeah. We'll just play this out vanilla. I just want it as a blocker. Okay. And then we get the double block here. Not bad. You do take the double block here. Okay. We are gonna... Yeah. Not as confident about that attack. Okay. So we are playing from behind here, but we do have, you know, drag Teemo with Nocturne.
Let's make a deal.
So now that we don't have the fearsome attack, let's just do this.
You break it, you buy.
Yeah, that's fine. We could have played this, tried to push a little more.
Let me show you what
Vanilla
I can do.
2-3? I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, solid. If you attack with how many units? Some more units? Is 4, 5, 6. I think I can just, like, play this stuff and it's gonna be okay. Decimate? Oh no, okay. Well, yeah, that's why we have this. He built his burn aggro wrong. I have a lot of experience with this archetype. And then we hope he doesn't have like another static shock. That would suck. That's decent, right? That feels okay to me. Oh, alright. Sure. I got another one in hand, though, so that's alright. Mystic shot something? Oh, he's mystic in face. Alright. So far, so good. Not a lot of complaints. Chain caster after Nocturne.
Another day in the field.
A nightmare for everyone.
It's enough for everyone.
Yeah, we just opened here. Again, like, what else are we gonna do? Okay. Let's see if he has exactly 7 damage. No. Yeah, so again, I shouldn't be winning with Nightfall specifically. This is a standard deck that, like, I didn't even like activate Nightfall most of the time. Like I just played creature parity into the burn aggro deck, which wasn't. Let's take a look at it. So let's talk about the things that are wrong here about the burn aggro deck. Transfusion's wrong. Static Shock is a 3 of is correct. Decimate's correct. This is correct. Noxian Fervor's correct. Get Excited, 3 of. Mystic Shot. And then yeah, sometimes the Legion Grenadier call is wrong as well. It kind of depends. It just yeah, specifically the Crimson Disciple into Transfusion and stuff like that. Just, you know, no. Let's take a look at my burn decks and get like a better look at how that's supposed to be built out. So this one's obviously a Riven deck, but even still. Mystic is a 3 of. Get Excited is a 3 of. Noxian Fervor is a 3 of. Like auto ratioing there, like there's no room for not doing that. Especially in this deck specifically because I have Draven Axes and I have Rune Weaver, you know, Blade Fragments and stuff like that. So there's lots of discard fodder. Use Cast Elsman is a 3 of, Static Shock is a 3 of, Decimate is a 3 of, and then typically giving yourself a top end with Enraged Fire Spitter dealing 2 and then also dragging something is very good in a Noxus burn aggro shell. Yeah, so this is just kind of generally being better than exactly what he was doing. Much better. Even straight down to like the weapon hilt just being better than Transfusion because you also get the Blade Fragment. So there's like a little bit of cycling, a little bit of Turbo Riven there. So yeah, this burn aggro shell is just better. But yeah, back to the Nightfall deck. Nightfall, you know, despite being a standard legal deck right now, feels like an Eternal deck in many respects. And so we didn't see any value off the Unspeakable Horror, despite its inclusion. So like Fading Memories, 1 Unspeakable Horror. Or it could be the Onto Dusk, which is like draw 1, activate the enemy's Nightfall effect, so it could be like the Unspeakable Dusk. But yeah, you get the concept of the deck, I think. I think you've got a pretty clear idea of like the correct ways that you run this. Yeah, Ping's just not suiting a Nightfall deck in terms of what it's trying to do. Yeah, something like this is very, very close, right? Chaincaster being a 0 mana activator, Fading Memories being a 0 mana activator, Lunari Duskbringer being a good Nightfall activator, Sky Shadows giving you free mana to do things with specific, you know, but the question is like, what are those things that you want to do with your mana? Even something like Lodestone would be like a really good cash out for Sky Shadow's mana because it's like not specifically a spell that needs to do something. Like it is just like a good card that you get to play for free with Sky Shadows. Like that's not bad. In my mind, like that's not terrible. It's just like a free cash out. Or again, Soul Harvest, right? Soul Harvest is gonna give you more flexibility than a Ping in terms of what you can and can't remove. A lot of cheap champions and stuff like that. So like, yeah, you can. There's some good choices here. There's the Unspeakable Horror. There's the Onto Dusk. There's the Darkened Lodestone, and then there's Soul Harvest. And I would consider all of these cards to be like decent inclusions for the most part. Usually Darkened Lodestone slightly better for, I want to say, elusive decks. Glare, right? Glare just being like an easy 2 mana cycle that you can cast for free with Sky Shadows. And like it's generally better to cycle through your deck than it is to summon a random card like Unspeakable Horror. So the Glare would just be flat out better. Very possibly. Like I think Sky Shadows into a free Glare is pretty devastating overall. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong here. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so great. This is Eternal King signing out. I just wanted to show off that, you know, standard decks could be eternally viable, but they have to be very specifically geared for certain winning solutions, right? So again, Iron Conquest onto the Stygian Onlooker, Chain Caster for free Nightfall activations when it matters, stuff like that is very, very important. Because typically the biggest weakness of Nightfall is that Lunari Dustbringer doesn't give you enough activators to get there on its own. It just doesn't, right? So you need convenient ways to activate Nightfall in your deck. So yeah, you could, for example, Sky Shadows and then Glare, something that's bothering you, and then play your free, Nightfall unit, and that's going to get you there for sure. This is Eternal King, signing out.